Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world as you're watching this. Welcome to Falls from Iron. Welcome to the Daily West Ham. I'm Gatesy. I'm very lucky enough to be joined by a very special guest. You can see him there. He is the Canadian Cyclone, known as the one and only Peach. How are you, sir?
I'm lucky to be enjoyed with your company, my friend. Let's cut to the chase and let's bring on what we got to bring on, man.
Let's do it. But before we do get into that, just two
Yeah,
things. The usual. Thanks for coming. Drop a like on the stream. It really does help the channel out tremendously. Subscribe
yeah.
to the YouTube channel and make sure you touch that bell icon to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel, such as this. And don't forget the campaign for Isla. She's suffering from neuroblastoma. She can't get the treatment in the UK. Her family have got to raise funds to try and get her the treatment and everything else that pertains to the treatment, the flights to and from, the accommodation whilst they're there, their living costs, the bills that are still coming in the UK. This family need our help. Please copy and paste this. It's in the description below YouTube and Facebook. Copy and paste this. Put it onto your social media platforms with a note that this is a 6-year-old girl that is struggling desperately and needs help. If you can put some money in the pot as well, you do have the Just Giving link there. So if you're in a position to be able to contribute and make a difference to this young girl's life, then we would encourage you to give generously. And I thank you always as much for listening. So, Peach, it was announced when we was doing the pre-match for the Manchester United game that you joined me on just a little earlier, although by the time this goes out, it'll be tomorrow morning. So whatever. That Winston Reid and West Ham United have parted company after 11 years. Now, just to put a little bit of context out there, he came to us. He was one of the first signings of our legendary manager, Mr. Avram Grant. First season, he, obviously coming from Denmark, Midtjylland, he made 7 Premier League appearances. 3 appearances in the Cup, the FA Cup, 1 in the League Cup. 2 in the League Cup. So, his first season, he was probably a little bit of a bit part player. As things went on, he established himself, obviously, following relegation from the Premier League. He became a main figure in the Championship, scored a memorable goal at the Bowling Ground against our near rivals, Millwall. Obviously, was part of the team that got us promoted back to the Premier League, was a Hammer of the Year as well in his time at the club. Got a goal at White Hart Lane as well against Tottenham, so another little tick on his CV. And of course, he wrote himself into folklore in May 2016 when he popped up with the scores locked at 2-2 against Manchester United in the 80th minute. He popped up and got the winning goal. Obviously, we fast forward a couple of years after that, and unfortunately, he picked up a bad knee injury away at Swansea. I believe the player was Mike van der Hoorn that he collided with, which is essentially what has ended his West Ham career. He's obviously had spells out on loan at Sporting Kansas in the MLS and also at Brentford whilst they were in the Championship. Helped them to get promoted last season. They obviously didn't sign him at that point. And now, obviously, it's come to a point where the club and the player have come to a decision that it's mutually beneficial for them to go their separate ways. What are your memories of Winston Reid, the player, Peach, in his time at West Ham?
Absolutely brilliant. He did it for the game. He did it for the supporters, and he said that was the best thing. That's why he did what he did, and he will be sorely missed. I rate him as a legend. He didn't expect to get that injury. He got it. Yes, it cut his West Ham career short, but you'll never forget the good times that Winston Reid had with. He was a leader. He was an absolute leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, he's a name that will always be indelibly linked with the history of West Ham because of the fact he was the final ever goal scorer at the Bowling Ground. I mean, I think with all due respect to Winston Reid, I don't think I would personally class him as a legend, but I would certainly say that he's in the icons or cult heroes category, in my opinion. 222 appearances in all competitions. Some people would say that obviously is for a player that was 11 years at the club, that's probably a little bit light. But the last 3 and a bit seasons, obviously with the knee injury, he's not basically played a first team game. But for me, I mean, he was for a period, I believe he was actually the vice captain as well, New Zealand international. I've got some very fond memories, as I say, scoring. He's got 3 goals, 1 against Millwall, 1 against Tottenham, 1 against Manchester United.
Yeah.
Like I say, not quite in the legends category for me, Peach, but I would say icon status, cult hero status. Would you agree with that? Is that a fair assessment?
Let me ask you this. I know that there's been football well before the Premier League, when they had first division and this, that, and the third. But looking from when the Premier League started and the players that we have got in, you wouldn't consider him legendary status in the Premier League? Just a question.
Arguable.
It is, isn't it? It is, isn't it? He came in. He helped us get promoted in 2012.
He did.
As you said, he was Hammer of the Year. He was a leader. If my father still had his way, he'd be playing right now. Yeah, he loved him that much. So I agree with you that he's not a legend in the history of West Ham United, but West Ham United in the Premier League, I consider him a legend.
One other thing I want to discuss, though, because obviously the fact that he was 11 years a West Ham player. Now, obviously, this is something that doesn't tend to happen so much now in the modern era, because obviously players generally, as a rule, will not stay at clubs for too long. One club men, such as our own Mark Noble, are a very, very rare breed now. But the testimonial was always something that was granted to a player with 10 years service at a club. Now, obviously, he was 11 years a West Ham player. In your opinion, do you think he deserves a testimonial? And if so, what's your reasoning for it? Because I've heard the narrative being trotted out that he's picked up 70 grand a week for the last 3 and a bit years, not kicked a ball in the first team. He's had enough money out of the club. Why should we grant him a testimonial? What's your thoughts?
Because Yarmolenko is making twice as much as that. And he can't even. He couldn't even lace Winston Reid's boots, to tell you the truth. He could not even get the first string into the notch to lace his boots, and he's making double what Winston Reid made. So, I think Winston Reid does deserve a testimonial, as I do James Collins. I think Winston Reid's gone out on a better way, whereas it was mutual consent. I'm still disgusted and throw up in my mouth the way that they let James Collins go, because he turned into a hammer, like the Welsh boy that came with Danny Gabadon. Like he became a cult hero. And I think he's deserved a testimonial. I think Winston Reid deserved a testimonial for all that Winston Reid has done. I would give him that testimonial for people crying that, oh, boo-hoo, he made twice as much as me. Well, Yarmolenko is making twice as much as Declan Rice right now. Is that fair? No. So yeah, it's and the whole injury thing, you saw it with Lanzini. Lanzini has never been the same player after he did in his Achilles.
Yeah,
and they don't go out and choose. Oh well, I'm going to get injured today.
No,
it just happens. That's football, isn't it?
No.
He was unfortunate, but not only did he help us out, after he did his little MLS stunt, when he went to Brentford, he helped them get up. He did a lot, and not just for our club. So 100%, I'd give him a testimonial all day of the week, and I'm sure every West Ham player in the dressing room right now that played with him or even didn't would agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. I mean, like I say, I've heard people saying that he's had enough money out of the club, blah blah blah. But I agree with you. He did not ask to get injured. The contract that at the time, 70 grand a week for a central defender was an awful lot of money. And for people like you and me, 70. Listen, if you paid me 70 grand a year, I'd be happy. Let alone 70 grand a week. But for a Premier League footballer in the year 2021, 70 grand a week is actually not, in my view, a sort of like an unreasonable wage expectation for a decent level Premier League centre back. As I say, the contract was signed by both parties in good faith.
Yeah.
Winston Reid did not know he was going to get injured a short time after that contract was signed.
Yes.
And you know, I'm sure if he could wind the clock back, he would try and make sure that he didn't get injured. But, you know, we are where we are. We're not where we want to be. And, you know, I wish Winston Reid, you know, he's 33 years of age now. So there's no reason why he can't perhaps go on to another club, whether that's overseas, whether that's in this country, whether that's, you know, a level or two below Premier League level. I don't know. For me, on a personal level, that goal, the game at the Bowling Ground against Manchester United, Winston Reid getting the winner, one person that gave a little bit of inspiration to was my daughter. Now, my daughter plays football for
what number shirt does she wear, Gatesy?
Yes, well, that's just what I was coming on to, actually. My daughter was there at that game against Manchester United, and Winston Reid pops up, gets the winner. My daughter well, she was a centre back. She's now been deployed in midfield. She's done the Declan Rice sort of route. Started as a defender, and now she's moved forwards a bit. But my daughter, still to this day, insists whatever team she plays for, whether it's her school, whether it's been her district, you know, she's played for a couple of clubs at a reasonably decent level, and she always insists she has to be number 2. That's just her number because of Winston Reid.
Next person that has to don that shirt is going to have to be a legend like Winston Reid was. And not only was he a good footballer, not only was he a leader, he oozed class. And Winston Reid did not. He had a brilliant attitude. He was a leader. His mind was in the right place. He helped the boys out with everything and anything. He was. I know he was a vice captain, but he really acted like a captain.
Yeah. If I was to take a side, because I think if I was to ask most people the question, what's your one abiding memory of Winston Reid? I think virtually everyone will say that last goal at the Boleyn. If we take that to one side, what is your abiding memory of Winston Reid, the West Ham player?
Well, him helping us get into the Premier League in, what was it? It was 2012?
Yes.
Yeah. So him helping us get to that's something that'll always be drilled in my head. The goal, though. The goal at the Bowling Ground was just, that was, it was, I'm sorry to say his name. I apologize. But it was a Payet masterclass, and Payet basically put it on a plate for him. But what he did with it was phenomenal. Now I watched. I was saying this on my stream the other day. I watched this movie called what's it called, Iron Man, and like it just goes through a whole bunch of like West Ham, this, that, and the third. And you get to see the reaction when Winston Reid did score that goal. And you get to see Mabel Arnold. Remember Mabel Arnold?
I do.
She's like an OG. Mabel Arnold, that was the name. Wasn't it the granny that used to go to the
She was
matches.
about 100 or so, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Before she passed?
and it was
Yes.
her birthday on that day. It was
Yeah.
her birthday on that day. And it was just like, that will always be stuck in my head, stuck in my heart. When he's like, I was working that day, and I kept like going like from when I was working to like watching the telly. When I was working to watching the telly, streamed it on the computer, had to shut it off because the bosses were coming around. So it was like to the telly, back to work, to the telly, back to work. And I was lucky enough to like be at the telly that time when he scored, and it was just Payet set it up, and he just delivered like nobody's business, man. And I'll never forget that. And just for that moment alone, he deserves a testimonial, man. Come on, like that was the last very goal at the bowling ground, man. Like, come on.
Okay, Peach, 60 seconds. Give your YouTube channel a plug. Go.
Oh, thank you, my friend. First, I'm going to give Fortune a plug because they're the illest. You got Duke, you got Gatesy, trust me. My West Ham channel is called West Ham Random. We talk about football, but we talk about like other stuff. I'll talk about UFOs and what I ate that day, and I don't know why I was feeling sick the day before. It's like kind of random. That's why it's random. I do it with a gentleman by the name of Adam Frankel. Hammers Fans United. He always does the editing for our stuff. If I make any sense to you, and if you like what you see, then hey, subscribe, like, share. Please do. Be much appreciated.
I can thoroughly recommend it, people. Please show Peach some love. Go to YouTube, put in the search bar West Ham Random, click subscribe. Have a watch of Peach's streams. You might even see me pop on. And guys, please, if I can draw your attention again, don't forget, copy and paste this onto your social media platforms for Isla to try and keep the momentum going. Get as many people as you can to have the knowledge that this little girl needs our help. And if you can also put a few quid in the pot, you've got that Just Giving link there. Please give generously. I thank you very much indeed for your attention. And don't forget, guys, to drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click that bell icon to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel. And we are going to finish with our usual sign out. Are we not, Peach?
What left is there to say? Come on, Gates.
Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.